Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about inspection and what it is. So the first thing, what is an inspection? Essentially, it's a process that takes place at every competition to make sure that your robot um, follows all the regulations in the guidelines. Um, just before we start, you should know that there's a complete checklist that's found on FIRST website, and that link is in the description. And the exact specifications will change from year to year. So it's really, really important to look at that checklist. Um, but we'll talk about some of the most general rules and some things that you should keep an eye out for. Okay, so the first thing is initial inspection. Here they'll weigh your robot. It's usually it has to be less than 120 pounds, and the bumper weight has to be less than 20 pounds. Um, and there's always a maximum size. So no part can extend beyond that projection. Um, they'll also check the bumpers during the initial inspection and make sure that at least 6 inches are covered on both sides of the corners. And obviously, you'll need to be able to display red and blue. Okay, so then the mechanical inspection. This mechanical inspection has to do a lot with the safety of the robot, the safety of the game. So they'll check for sharp edges, protrusions, to check for any dangerous materials. Essentially, they want to make sure that um, it's safe to drive the robot around the field and to compete. They don't want any damage to the field, to the robots, to your own robot. So the mechanical inspection has a lot to do with the safety of the bot. You'll also need to provide a sheet with the total cost, which has to be less than $4,000, and no single component can be greater than $400. So the electrical inspection, they'll check every electrical component and system on the robot, including the battery. They'll check all your wiring, they'll check all your motors, and they'll make sure you don't have more than 6 sims. Um, they'll check the Robo Rio. They'll make sure everything's getting a sufficient amount of power, and that you're only using one battery on board. Um, this goes into a lot of detail on the checklist. So again, we recommend that you look at the checklist before competition because there's a lot of information on there. Okay, this is for teams using a pneumatic system on the robot. If you don't use a pneumatic system on the robot, then they won't check this at all. Um, but two of the most important things um, are that the vent plug valve must be easily accessible um, because if anything goes wrong, they need to be able to dump that. And also there must be gauges as part of the system so they can see the pressure. Okay, so they'll also do a power on check. So at every competition, the radio will be flashed, which means that when you're off the field, you won't be able to connect to it wirelessly. So you'll have to tether to the RoboRio. Um, they'll check for the robot signal light, which should come in your kit of parts. They'll also check to make sure the RoboRio is running the right firmware version. And they'll make sure that the main breaker is easily accessible, again, just in case anything goes wrong. So to prepare for inspection, again, make sure you review the checklist, make sure you meet all the requirements, and also know that after the inspection is done, the team captain and mentor will need to sign off on the inspection list. Awesome. Thanks, guys.